Guild Uden. Its head is Count Sergio. In an empire whose land stretched from south to north and from west to east, the south was definitely the tastiest morsel, rich in natural resources. And the guild managed to achieve economic primacy there. And the eldest daughter and heiress of the Sergio family was Adelina Sergio, who was sitting in the mansion. Adeline was very glad to see Jir and asked her to come and sit down. The girl thought that Jir would not arrive earlier. Adeline noticed that Jir left Rien last week, so she was expecting him yesterday. The man noticed that he had stopped somewhere else. The girl asked how he was doing and whether he had found anything worthwhile. The man said that they were famous for their fabrics, so he had a fleet of samples that he wanted to show Adeline, so he decided to ask if she wanted to take a look. The girl thought about it and agreed, but asked to do it a little later. The guy wanted to say something to Adele, but he instantly fell silent. The girl decided to ask again. Jir said it was nothing, but he was just surprised she had never put off work. Until later, Adele did not see anything wrong with this, and was glad that they would be able to see each other more often in the future. The guy turned to Adele and said that she looked so beautiful. The main character expected such a reaction. The heiress was used to getting up at dawn and getting up at 5 in the morning. But for the first time in many years, instead of looking through the accumulated documents, the first thing she did was look in the mirror. Adele was without makeup and unkempt, but considering how much effort she usually put in, the appearance of the main character promised her a wonderful future. Adele asked Jir what he wanted to tell her. Maybe there was something on his face. The guy apologized and said everything was fine. Adele asked Jir if he was sick because the business trip was most likely too tiring. The guy was shy and said that it was nothing. The heiress did not believe him, because those shifting eyes give him away, and he's definitely worried about something. He looked rather uptight. The main character was wondering how many times he swallowed in the last minute. The main character decided to take the first step since everything was so bad. Adele wasn't very good at this, but she would at least give him a little push and everything would be fine. She said she heard that he stopped at Seaton on his way here. The guy admitted that everything was like that, but he was very surprised that she knew about it. Adeline asked for what purpose he went there because they also had enough jewelry. It was logical that the most powerful guild would have the best jewelry. You won't find anything more luxurious anywhere in the South. But still, I stopped by a town famous for its production of precious stones. The main character thought that there could only be one reason for this. The girl asked if he had found anything worthwhile. Jir was very confused, and Adeline herself noticed it. The guy couldn't put words together. The main character wanted Jir not to be so embarrassed. Adele asked her interlocutor to relax because they had known each other for several years. Almost 9.5 years have passed since Adeline and Jir first met, and 3 years have passed since this happened. Jir, embarrassed, said that he really had something to say, but he couldn't find the right moment. Jir wasn't sure how to do it, but he thinks Adele should hear first. Adele thought with a smile that this was very logical because there was no one else who should have heard the marriage proposal. The main character understood that he was worried, but she didn't have that much time. The main character needs to either push him or defuse the situation because her answer is already known. She was very interested in what he had left to do. Check the goods that have arrived at the port and look at revenue reports from all branches. He, unfortunately, will have to spend the whole night doing this. In this case, everything needs to be decided now. Jir asked Adele if she was listening to him. The girl lied that she heard everything, and at that time she was simply floating in the clouds of dreams. But Adeline, like a true heiress who can even wake up in the middle of the night and hold a meeting in 5 different languages, can easily predict what Jir will say now. A man who had already confessed his feelings to her once, this cold-blooded guy, now because of his worries, cannot even raise his head. Come to think of it, there's a square box sticking out of his jacket pocket. It's at least 2.5 inches wide, which means there's at least a 3-carat ring in there. If Adeline had not been able to guess all this, then she should have given up her place as heiress at that very second. The main character said that this is the only right decision, because a lot has changed in 3 years. Jir was very glad that she so easily entered into his position. These words of his outraged the lady, because she did not understand what it meant to enter into a position if they were not strangers. The guy with a smile thanked the girl for supporting him. because it was thanks to her that he became bolder. The girl was angry because he thanks her for supporting him and not agreeing. She felt like she was encouraging a friend to propose to someone. Jir said with a smile that he hoped she would like it, and added that he would like to show Adeline first. He wanted this because the main character has excellent taste, and Adeline should be well aware of her preferences. The main character began to understand that everything seemed to be so. The guy pulled out a ring and placed it in front of my lady. She never thought there would ever come a day when she wouldn't smile when she saw a diamond. Adele saw the bird, and she just wanted to fly away from here with it. The main thing is not to go crazy. It was necessary to turn on the brain-saving mode. The girl praised the ring and said that it was beautiful, and the execution was simply excellent. The man was very happy, and noted that he hoped Noel would like it too. The main character did not understand anything, and there was a moment of awkward silence. The girl had to ask something before she completely lost her mind. Adeline decided to approach it from the outside in her own words. She said it wasn't that she was interested, and she just wanted to know if he was talking about her little sister, Noel Sergio. The maid was delighted to see her mistress. She asked with a wide smile how everything went. She asked what Mr. Jarrock said, because Adeline said that he visited the jewelry store in Seaton. The heiress responded passively that he was there. The maid said that this was true because it was necessary to prepare everything in advance. She was very happy and was fascinated by Adeline's eyes. The maid continued to praise the mistress and said that nothing more beautiful could be found not only in the south, but throughout the entire empire. And it was not surprising that the gentleman also fell in love with them. But all Adele told Jackie was that she had a slight headache. Jackie was sure that her mistress was probably confused now, and even if it was Adele, it was difficult even for her to be happy when they said to her face that they loved someone else. Adele asked if Jackie would leave her alone for a while since this was the case. The maid was in shock and did not understand what her mistress was saying. The heiress also added that Jir told her that he liked Noel. She was shocked by the maid's reaction because she acted as if she had been rejected. Jackie's face was simply indescribable. The maid immediately became aggressive and did not understand how this was possible. Jir just recently confessed to Adeline. Jackie didn't understand how someone could be so flighty. Adeline thought about this herself. Jackie did not want to believe it, because this Jir did not give way to the mistress for so long and did not understand how this happened. The main character said that it was 3 years ago, but Jackie did not want to listen to it because he said that he would wait as long as necessary. Jackie started talking. Adele interrupted her and asked if she was eavesdropping. The girl immediately fell silent. 3 years ago, Jarrock asked for Adeline's hand in marriage, but then the battle for the place of heir flared up and Adele could not accept his offer. Then the girl told Jir that if his love was sincere, then he should do it again in 3 years. If he doesn't change his mind, she promises to think seriously. That's exactly what the main character said then, but she couldn't even think that he would love her sister. Jackie asked if she needed to call Lady Noel right now. Jackie noticed that today she had already thought about why Noel had been asking all day when Adeline would be back. Jackie asked if Adeline would let her get away with this, but Adeline did not answer, and Jerry asked what her mistress was doing, assuming that she was working. The lady said that she understands that Jackie is indignant, but she would like her to do it silently because she needs to deal with this quickly, otherwise she will sit with it until the morning. Jackie thought that her mistress was angry and wanted to leave everything like this. The lady repeated once again that if she does not sort out her work, then tomorrow 32 enterprises will not be able to open, and hundreds of workers will find themselves in an uncomfortable situation. And if we take into account their families, then this is already thousands. Besides, Noel will most likely come herself. Noel finally came and asked if she could come in. Adele allowed her to do this. Noel said she was sorry and asked if her sister was very angry. The girl lowered her eyes and said that she could not even think that Jer could ever lay his eyes on her and pay attention. Noel kept saying that it was her fault, but if her sister was okay, then she was very happy. Adele said she was not okay and asked Noel to leave as she had a lot of work to do. The lady told Noel that she understood and would discuss it with her tomorrow if she woke up before the heiress left. Adeline asked Jackie to take Noel to her chambers, and God forbid she... Faint Jackie began to escort Noel, who was trying to say something. Noel was not allowed to justify herself. Adele was convinced that they had left and went to check the window because she felt that something was wrong. The girl asked in a rage when the guy arrived and did not understand who allowed him to spy. The man said that it was not his fault that she noticed him so late. The guy justified himself by saying that it was she who told him not to enter that door. But for Adeline, this was no excuse, because entering through the window was not a good idea. The man handed the package to the lady and asked if this was what she had told him about before. It only gave Adeline a headache, but it still does a great job. Who would have thought that Adele and this guy are related? His name is Caden Sergio. He is the Count's only son and Adele's younger brother. To be more precise, a half-brother. He came to this house when the main character was 14, and he immediately expressed his position. The boy was all beaten up when he met Adeline. He said that he did not have a name, but when he appears, he will definitely let you know. The boy apologized and said that he was not interested in either money or the guild, and that it was unlikely that anything would change in the future, so he asked not to kill him. He lay bloodied in the butler's arms, and the main character did not understand how she could not accept him. As a result, it was Adele who gave him both the name and the room in their house. Caden grew up under her wing, and over time, Adele began to trust him with the most important assignments of the guild. Most of these cases involved dealing with those who decided to appropriate their wealth, so it cannot be said that he acted exclusively within the law. Adele ordered Caden to go because she was tired and could look at the papers later. The guy asked if that idiot Jerox had changed his mind. The main character was very interested when even he managed to find out. Kaidan asked if he should be killed because he was just waiting for an order, and if she wanted it, then he would fulfill her wish. Caden isn't kidding when he says something with that expression on his face. The last time he had such a look, the heir of one family who publicly insulted Adele lost his arm. But given the fact that no witnesses or traces of the crime were found, Caden's involvement is just Adele's guess. Adeline told Caden that there was no need to do this for now, because Jer would still be useful since you couldn't find such an accountant during the day. Besides, Caden does not have the right to do this, and Adeline does not remember giving it to him. After these words, the mistress asked Caden not to interfere where they were not asked and just do his job. The lady said that she would somehow sort out her own affairs. Caden really didn't understand why his sister pretended not to know anything. The main character acts as if she doesn't know that Noel is not who she seems. Adeline did not like these words, and she asked Caden to watch his language. Caden agreed with all the wishes of the mistress, but he noticed that it was funny because there was a time when he knew something that even Adeline did not know. When Caden left, Adeline thought that he had no manners at all, and she thought that Caden only knew how to fight. The main character can easily punish him for such behavior, and if necessary, even kick her out. But she doesn't do this for only one reason. This is because the sweet and pretty little sister of the main character is actually a very bad person. Adele remembers her past life, and in short, it could be called the life of a pathetic beggar Korean woman. Having overcome all obstacles, Adele finally entered a good university, but unfortunately, this did not help her in life. A good university was like a clay spoon, which is an idiom meaning a poor life. The main character worked like a horse without receiving a drop of gratitude for it. For several months, I slept at work for the sake of my dream, but the boss from a wealthy family with good connections took credit for her achievements. And when the girl was no longer able to endure, and having suffered enough came for answers to her questions, she only heard questions about why she had come, and a request to ask these questions to her parents. This vile world did not give life. The main character was also capable of many things and only asked permission to try. If she had been sent abroad, she would not have indulged in drugs, but would have only studied. Relationships, marriage. Whatever the family wants. She believed that she could handle it. Adele no longer wanted to fight for the appetizers, but wanted to fight for the main course. She wanted to start a fire between parents and children and fight. The main character screamed about everything that had accumulated until she stumbled and began to fall. She also wanted a rich family. Having poured out the pain, Adele was supposed to wake up again in the grayness tomorrow. But she could not open her eyes. This was Korea. They called the gentleman very quickly because a miracle happened and Adele's eyes changed color. They turned pink. The main character did not understand who all these people were and why they entered without asking. Her hands moved on their own. It made me wonder if those hands were hers. She didn't understand why she was crying nonstop. The main character did not understand what was happening. She was angry because she had to work tomorrow, and if she didn't show up, she would be fired. The man leaned over her and noticed that this color was excellent and suitable for the jewelry trade. The man gave the baby a name, and this name was the beautiful and sweet name Adeline. The baby was angry because she didn't understand who gave him permission to touch her. The ring that was on the man's hand seemed eerily familiar to the main character. She had already seen him somewhere. This ring was an exact copy of the ring from the book that the main character had recently read. She couldn't forget it even if she wanted to. It was described in such detail. Count Sergio's ring featured an eagle with 18 feathers neatly engraved and eyes sparkling with diamonds. This was exactly it. The baby even started counting feathers. The count was asked to look at the baby because she seemed to really like his ring. The man noticed that she was all about him. And then the main character began to realize that he was really her father. The girl realized that firstly, she died, and secondly, she was born again in the novel she was reading. She became the daughter of Auntie Sergio, the head of the most powerful guild in the South. The girl ended up in a rich family, and not just rich, but breathtakingly rich. The baby was actively trying to say something, so her father asked her what it was. He took her in his arms, and the baby grabbed his hand. She never wanted to let her go. They really asked the lady to take a break today. She already had lessons in a foreign language, fencing, fine arts, and mineralogy, and now she also wanted to take horse riding. The maid said that if she told this to the count, it would not be very good, but Adele simply ordered not to speak. The girl was simply born for this. The main character breathed the air she had dreamed of for so long. Everything was perfect and simply amazing, and although her mother died quite early, her father rarely appeared at home. All these trials seemed like a trifle to the main character compared to her past life. But even in this ideal world, when Adele was 11, the first trouble happened. A girl appeared who asked the main character if she could call her sister and introduced herself with the name Noel. She still showed up. No matter how Noel showed up exactly when she was supposed to. In the novel, she was a white-haired devil who could not be trusted, Noel Sergio. When the main character opened her eyes and heard the name of Count Sergio, it was only thanks to Noel that she realized what was happening. Count Sergio and Noel were a real family, and Adele was a half-sister. The surprising thing is that it was Noel who was the main character of this story. The author, without thinking twice, gave her a very ordinary, cute name. A typical main character is a kind-hearted girl with an angelic face. The biggest problem was that the novella was published in parts perhaps because Noel was a model of tolerance and forgiveness. Readers accustomed to stories about psychopaths were tired of reading this snotty novella. It was then that Chloe Noel's friend first appeared. While angry comments continued to appear about Noel, Chloe looked more and more like the main character with each new chapter. Chloe ended up drowning in positive comments from readers after she overthrew the tyrant crown prince and showed compassion for the man on the throne, thereby showing readers a strong side of her character. The author, unable to cope with the flow of complaints about Noel, ultimately changed the main character. In such stories, everything is forgiven only to the main characters. And the last days of Noel, from whom this role was stolen, were very sad. All her actions were turned upside down, and in the last chapters, she became the one who weaves intrigues behind their backs. Subsequently, it turned out that a good half of all atrocities committed in the Empire were the work of Noel. And if anyone asks how Adele can be so calm with Noel, this is all because even if Adele kicks her out, and even if she continues to make countless mischief in any case when she turns 20, she will die. Adele offered to be friends with Noel while she was still alive. The main character believed that she had done enough. The main character did not read to the last chapter, but they say that she died the most painful death. She didn't understand why kill the one who had once been the main character. The girl felt very sorry for her, and she tried several times to change her fate. But Noel, with incredible enthusiasm, strived to live a far from righteous life. At the age of 10, she accused innocent people of theft, and they had to be kicked out. At 12, she made a poor girl outcast at the academy and drove her to transfer. And even Caden, when he was small and did not know the whole truth, almost died several times because of it. In addition, every time the main character tried to fix something, things in the guild began to go from bad to worse. So much so that she was already beginning to think that she was trying to resist the will of God. The main character didn't want to save Noel that much, but she could let her do what she wanted. In any case, according to canon, she had no more than a year left. Well, for now, the only thing that the main character can clean up for Noel. It's not at all difficult to do this with money. She didn't want to believe that Noel had decided to take action. There may be a decisive moment soon. Caden is similar to her, but despite the fact that his hatred can burn everything in its path, he walks in front of Adele with his tail between his legs. But then the main character came out of her thoughts and decided that there was no difference because the guild would be in her power. She decided that there was no point in thinking about such trifles and asked when their next appointment was tomorrow. Adele decided that she had better get some sleep. The reception was simply magnificent. All the cream of society gathered here. Even the best balls in the capital cannot be compared with the receptions hosted by Sergio's family. They said that an heir should be announced soon, so they all go out of their way. The women discussed the new heiress, Adele, and considered her somehow different. Lady Adele greeted Viscountess Dane, who had been talking to her a few seconds ago. The main character noted that this time everything is quite modest, but she hopes that she will have a good time. Adele thanked the Viscountess because she felt she was in good hands, thanks to her supplying them with only the highest quality fabrics. Dane was glad that Adele did not hear her words. The woman said that Adele was just flattering her. Jackie was angry because this is not the first time the Viscountess has just done this and says all sorts of nasty things about Adele at every reception. Adele asked what Dane was saying. That woman said that Adele was cold and calculating and that when she became the head, everything would only get worse. Jackie asked if Adele would do something about it and tell her something. The maid was outraged that the Viscountess dared to come to the event and open her dirty mouth. Adele didn't want to do anything. The main character needed to thoroughly check the supply of new fabrics from the Viscountess. There will definitely be a marriage somewhere, and then Adele will make her pay. Jackie asked what would happen if the marriage was not found. But Adele asked not to be stupid because she already knows that everything will be exactly like this. Adele didn't care what she said or to whom. Adele was determined and did not want to be barked at in her own home. The Viscountess needs to know her place. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Even if it weren't for this unpleasant little thing, Adele would still have done this. The Viscountess has been allowing herself too much lately, and this will be a great lesson for others too. Jackie didn't understand how her mistress had enough strength for all this, and assumed that she was probably wildly tired. But Adele denied this. The main character was having fun. Such conflict situations are commonplace for a person from high society. There is nothing she doesn't like in this life. After all, the main character wanted her so much, and even the sudden appearance of Noel will not spoil Adele's mood. The younger lady came. Jir was next to her. Jackie asked Adele again if she was really okay. Adele asked why she should not be okay. Jackie justified this by saying that Jir confessed his love to Noel, although several years ago he proposed marrying him to Mrs. Adeline. The main character calmly said that if she had accepted all the confessions, she would have already met half the empire. Adele thought about accepting his offer only because he was a very suitable candidate, no more, no less. What happened can be called an exam. Adeline thought that she could completely trust him if his decision remained unchanged. Jir was a great worker, good-looking, and from a good family. But he will have to say goodbye because it occurred to him to play tricks with no one, namely with the younger sister of the main character. Apparently, Adele still doesn't understand people well. Noel walked up to her older sister. She greeted her with a smile, but she herself thought that this was very tiring and stressful. Jerox, who always stood next to the main character, came to the reception arm in arm with her younger sister. And all the guests were very interested in what was happening, and everyone was no longer interested in the reception into which Adele had put so much effort. Well then, Adelina decided that this was not strange because even she would have been staring just like all the guests, because this is the most interesting thing. Noel went out onto the balcony with Adeline and apologized. She said that she told Jir that it would be better to come separately, but he did not agree. The main character herself thought about who would even be able to suspect this angelic face of Noel of anything. The heiress told her younger sister that there would be nothing wrong with it, and she would be glad if everything worked out for them. Yesterday. Adele was confused, but after thinking a little, she decided that this was all for the better. Perhaps Noel won't fall for the crown prince if Jir can stand her jealousy of the main character. Even if death cannot be avoided, it will be wonderful if she is not accused of all mortal sins. Noel admitted that it was Jir who told her to go along, and said that Adele, unlike her, would be able to cope with everything alone, because the heiress can adapt to anything. Adele still thought it was for the best, because her younger sister would remain a source of trouble, regardless of whether she got married or not. Adeline said that Jir was partly right, and that in any case they looked good together, and that they would need to tell their father as soon as he returned this news. Noel was afraid that she would cause problems for the main character. But the main character said that there were no problems, and asked Noel to run quickly to her boyfriend because he had probably already waited. The older sister noticed that Jir looked at Noel with such love that he couldn't dream, so she shouldn't keep him waiting. Jackie approached the main character and noticed that her mistress was very good at hypocrisy, and of course Noel looked upset, but Adeline could well have made a sadder look. But the main character did not want this. The maid noticed that it seemed to her that the younger sister was still worried about Adeline, but the main character said that there could be no talk of any concern because she dared to come here. You can honestly say that all the nobility of the South has gathered here. The main character would be worried even if she noticed a speck of dust on her older sister's dress, but Noel has nothing to do with the affairs of the guild, and she shouldn't be here at all. The main character thought that perhaps she really should have pretended to be upset, but decided that nothing could be done if she really didn't care. The main character decided to try it anyway, and asked Jackie if she looked upset, but the girl said that maybe only slightly. Therefore, the lady did not understand what to do, and suggested that she would most likely shed tears that she did not have. Jackie noticed that the lady knows how to do this well. This was true, but she didn't want to do it. So Adeline asked the maid if she needed to throw a tantrum in the morning, sobbing on the floor. Suddenly, a strange sound was heard, and so the maid asked the lady what had happened. The girl asked her to be quieter because it seemed like it was a man's voice. Jackie decided that this was nonsense, because it was only him standing on the balcony, but Adele was sure that she had definitely heard a man's voice. And then a man entered the room who was very glad to see Adele and told her that he had already searched her everywhere. This was the cousin of the main character, Mardell, and she did not understand what he wanted from her and why he even came here. Although he is the cousin of the main character, he is against the fact that the affairs of the guild are decided by a woman, that is Adeline, despite the fact that thanks to her, he occupies a good place in the guild. He looks at Adele as an enemy who took away from him what is rightfully his. But Adele didn't care, and she was even pleased to see the way he looked at her and got angry. The guy said that he thought Adele would be together with Noel, but it seems he was too late. The main character realized that everyone needed Noel again. Adele asked him if he came only for her sake. She didn't understand why he was smiling so much, and therefore assumed that he was up to some nasty thing again. Mardell turned back and noticed that all those people used to follow her on her heels. But Adeline interrupted him and said that he was trying in vain because it didn't make her angry at all. Of course, the main character noticed that a lot of people had gathered around Noel, but after her spectacular appearance with Jir, it was expected. Adeline told Mardell that if he has all the time to worry about such trifles, then he should devote it to work. Next week, the main character's father returns, and her cousin shouldn't think he can get away with it, just because he's related to him. The guy noticed that these words should have belonged to him. Mardell asked Adeline if she thought that all those people were idiots and asked why they were making circles around Noel, whom they hadn't even noticed all this time. Adele asked him to speak directly. The man leaned in front of her and asked if her uncle would choose an heir this time, and Adele should know that in Sergio's family, only the one who is engaged can become an heir. Following the family code, only an adult and married person can become an heir. It doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl, a child born out of wedlock or not. The main character blamed herself for not knowing about this earlier. It was as if Adele had been hit over the head with a bag. The place that she considered rightfully hers may not belong to her. To be not just the daughter of the head of the guild, but to take this place herself. Since birth, Adele has only dreamed of this. She didn't waste a minute or a second. She lived like a real heiress. But her father didn't tell her this, and she was very angry that he didn't warn earlier. The main character was furious. The man reassured her that her father had not told her, because before that, everyone had combined a coming-of-age celebration with an engagement party. But they didn't think Adele would need it either. The man assured Adele that the head had said that he had already decided that she, the eldest daughter and legitimate child, would become the heir. The lady did not understand why she was learning about this only now. It's just that no one thought that Mr. Girox and Mrs. Noel, even the Count, was not aware that it would turn out like this. Adeline ordered to stop. The father believed that everything would work out well for Adele and Girox, so he allowed the main character to avoid an arranged marriage. But one fine morning, this chance simply vanished. Adele asked the servant if her father had said anything else. In the first letter, after his departure, the head wrote that before his arrival, everything must be prepared for Adeline's marriage. He mentioned that the holiday in honor of Adeline's coming of age had already passed, so it would be nice to sort this out too, so that Adeline would definitely become the heir. Out of interest, Adeline decided to ask. Adele asked if the servant said this to Noel. The man didn't answer. Adeline ordered him that he could be free. Now everything has fallen into place. Jackie asked the lady how this happened. That was a good question. This impudent Noel was the first to read the letter and stretched out her vile paws to Jir. She nursed her because she was going to die soon anyway, and Adeline had a knife stuck in her back. The maid couldn't believe that this girl could think everything through like that. Adele said Jackie was right and she really wasn't the one to stop there. If you remember all her atrocities in the book, it will seem like just a child's joke. It is unlikely that her goal was to take away Adeline's fiancé. Noel had a marriage complex about having a child out of wedlock, which she constantly mentioned. But it finally became clear what she was trying to achieve. Jackie asked the lady to calm down because the head wanted to make Adeline the heir. And he won't change his mind because of some stupid family tradition. Adeline said that he would change it. And besides, when her father returned and heard that Noel and Girox had decided to get married, he didn't know what she would say. Jackie suggested that perhaps he would punish Mrs. Noel severely, but Adeline said that he would most likely think that she was smarter than she seemed. That was the Count, a person who doesn't care about moral principles. He considered Adele the heir, not because she was legitimate or the eldest daughter, but because she demonstrated her abilities to him countless times. Moreover, Adele is sure that she will hear how mediocre she is for allowing her younger sister to steal her man, but Jackie denied it. And then Adele decided to offer Jackie a bet. Jackie was very surprised and did not understand what it would involve. They thought they loved each other, but all this turned out to be just a blow to the gut. Jackie did not understand what Adeline was going to do and suggested that it was not too late to convince Mr. Girox. But these words made Adeline very angry because she felt that she did not look like a waste container. Because Girox has already said that he loves someone else. And then Jackie asked if Adeline would allow herself to give up her place as heiress. The main character shouted that she was crazy because she would rather die. The main character realized that nothing could be done. I put so much effort into all of this. Adeline cannot back down so easily. Of course, Noel will not instantly become the heir just because of this. But the father will definitely doubt Adeline. It was necessary to switch to another horse. That is, just ride a horse that will be better than Girox. But the chapter returns next week. After a man and a woman have met their eyes, they need no more than a week. But Adeline didn't even make eye contact with anyone. Jackie was interested in who the mistress wants to marry because you can't go up to just anyone and say that she's in a hurry. Adeline noticed that it would be better to marry someone than Girox. If she wanted to find someone her father would approve of, he would definitely have to be better than him. Father won't look at money. Their family already has enough money. There is no one richer in the south of the empire than Sergio's family. And Adele thinks it will be right to choose a kind and caring man who can support her. Someone who won't cause problems. He must be from the upper strata of society. This is the only way they can get married, not greedy and taciturn, so that if necessary, you can get a quiet divorce. He should also be tall and handsome. And these are not Adele's wishes. He will simply have to accompany her to official events. The guy should be smart, easily carry on a conversation, and it would be better for him to refrain from walking around with women. Jackie noted that this one was not bad, but it seems that such people do not exist. These words upset Adeline. As she said this, she became more and more aware of the fact that Jirox was indeed a good option. He has a good family, and he is tall and handsome. Besides, he is smart and not greedy. Well, of course you can find someone like that, but it's not clear what to do with abstinence. In short, Adeline needs the perfect castrato. Moreover, it is inconceivable that such a person would still remain unmarried unless this is a knight at some temple. Jackie said that if you think about a man who has all the qualities Adeline listed, then you should look specifically among the knights. Jackie asked if her mistress knew about the Knights of Fidelio. The maid did not understand what was happening to Adeline. The girl was very pleased and did not understand why she herself did not think of this. But is there really no other way out? This all somehow resembles an expedition to find a groom. The main character rode in a carriage instead of with her maid. Jackie didn't understand when her mistress managed to prepare all this. Adeline said that she could not go empty-handed. Wherever Adeline goes, money is a map, a compass, connections, and a source of strength. The path to the temple is not far, but considering why she is going there, it is better not to be empty-handed. Adeline had to find a groom no matter what. The head is already approaching the eastern part of the empire. If he crosses the Lennox Bridge, there will only be a week left before his arrival. And if the bridge is destroyed, the journey will take 2 weeks. Jackie said that it was restored last year and did not understand who would think of destroying such a good bridge. But Adeline said Caden would do it. Jackie noted that if her mistress was ready to do even this, then she could ask Caden to bring her a groom, because he would definitely carry out her orders. But the groom may not make it there alive. Caden, of course, is ready to carry out any order given by Adeline, but unfortunately there is something that you should not trust him, especially if it's a person from Adele's circle. Caden can only kill someone. Jackie asked if Mrs. Caden was afraid. These words surprised Adeline because she has no reason to be afraid of him. He is, of course, an unreal handsome man, but when you see him, you unconsciously cringe. Trembling begins after the usual meeting with his eyes, but Adeline argued and said that Caden was cute. And if you look closely, Caden looks a lot like a puppy, only without protruding ears and tail. But in terms of behavior, he is the spitting image of a domestic dog. I wondered if he would have been different if his mother had lived. As far as Adeline heard before Caden came to the family, his own mother abused him almost daily. Adeline felt sorry for the guy. The main character was pleased that he grew up like this. You can go crazy doing this kind of work. Kaidan always followed all orders perfectly. Never let me down. The reason is that the Yuden Guild is unlike other large organizations, has no problems with the criminal world, is that Kaidan is the eminence grise, the head of this world. In general, you shouldn't worry about him, and Adeline thinks that she and he understood each other well. Jackie herself noticed that now is the time to worry about her mistress. San Fidelio, the Pearl of the South, which is not so easy to get into, a secret place where priests, monks, knights, and other followers worship the god Anus, the founder of the empire. Some people find peace there, others find faith and courage, but the main character is looking for her future groom. It would be wonderful if a wonderful groom could be found here. Although it's a little frivolous, no one is better suited than the San Fidelio. The main character heard that even if a person is just going to undergo training in this temple, they check everything, from family to personal data, from physical indicators to potential. And if they manage to find even one flaw, then the person will not even cross the threshold. Therefore, there is no better place to find the perfect man. However, given that they are clergy, they seem to lack that point. It would be nice if he wasn't a sex machine. In any case, this is a marriage of convenience, so let him be careful and not too annoying, and not the one who will run to cause problems if he is not satisfied in time. Let all the men in the world be castrati, but not Adeline's man. But she will think about this when choosing a real husband. In the meantime, the main thing is to look adequate. Jackie asked the lady if knights could even marry because she had never heard of such a thing. Adeline said with a smile that this happens rarely, but they enter, and it is not illegal. The main character thought about how Jackie could have thought that she was coming here without knowing it. To tie oneself in marriage to a sacred temple is wild for ordinary people. However, the guild is a place where all information flows because of money, and among all the information there was also that related to religious activities. First, to get into the temple, you need to undergo difficult training in a monastery. After completion of training, all graduates are divided into knights and priests depending on their skills, but only 1 in 10 can complete this path. And no, it's not too cruel, it is quite possible to survive. But it was this system that brought fame to the temple. If not everyone can get somewhere, this place automatically becomes very desirable. Adeline is not sure about priests, but there is nothing wrong with marriage for a knight. The fact that a son serves in the temple is a great honor for the family. It is unlikely that anyone will send the heir there. Jackie noted that this is true and that there is no guarantee that it will pass. And I noticed that they say that many die during training. As a result, even if a man became a knight, he has neither connections nor money. So they try to earn money in advance for a comfortable old age. And so Adele will find herself a skillful husband, and he will find a reliable sponsor. The coachman told the lady that they were almost there and was waiting for orders. The main character asked to wait a second. Jackie listened to the lady and said that she understood, but warned that they could be kicked out of the monastery, and it was unlikely that they would be able to get there unnoticed. Adeline said that she had no intention of hiding. After all, the main character is from the Sergio family, which rules in the south. Jackie assumed that her mistress just wanted to pay them, but the main character didn't understand what Jackie was talking about. She said that the maid doesn't even know how much she invested here before, so there's nowhere else to go. Jackie didn't understand at first. The main character said with a wide smile that she came to collect money. The man said that it would be difficult and asked to leave. The coachman tried to make things right and assured the man that her mistress was very tired while getting here. But the man said that for them, this was not some provincial temple, but San Fidelio. The man did not understand what nonsense he wanted to see the Archbishop without even notifying him of the visit in advance. Meanwhile, Adeline was thinking that this man was suitable for the role of groom Adeline got out of the carriage, and she herself admitted that it was very rude of her. The man was in complete shock when he saw the lady and embarrassedly told the coachman that it was necessary to notify him in advance of his arrival. He understood that they were all tired, but unfortunately he could not break the rules. A handsome man approached them and asked what was happening. The man was Bishop Samuel, and he was surprised because there were supposed to be no guests today. Adeline was a little surprised that this man was a bishop. Holy knights, of course, look cooler, but the main character likes priests more. Despite the fact that they look strict, they have some kind of attractiveness, just like in the movies. Bishop Samuel asked a subordinate who this lady was. Adeline thought he was a rather funny bishop. The man who met the lady reported that this madam was telling him that she needed to meet with the Archbishop. The bishop was surprised and said that it was quite unexpected that he came to meet the Archbishop without warning. And he noticed that he saw that these guests came from afar, and this complicates everything. Adelina noticed that this man was not even looking at her. The man said that apparently she was mistaken about this place. They honor what the god Enos preached. This place is the embodiment of self-discipline and abstinence. Of course, this is a place where beneficence and love are taught, a place where you can find your purpose. The bishop turned to the lady and asked if he could find out what family they were from. Dark hair, clear but at the same time graceful facial features, purple eyes. Of course the main character was glad to meet her. She said that she was the daughter of Count Sergio named Adeline. The man was surprised and asked why the daughter of Count Sergio came here. Adeline said that now she is here not as the daughter of a count, but as the heiress of the Uden Guild. And although the man does not have a single drop of the gift of foresight, the intuition of a man who has lived half his life as a priest tells him that this is an alarming bell. First, he would have to let her in. Adeline noticed that this place is very beautiful, and your thoughts will probably clear up on their own if you spend the night here. The man thanked Adeline for the compliment. He said that, as he said, there are some conditions that allow you to stay here, and there should be no exceptions. He hoped that she would be understanding as a member of a noble family. The main character understood the man, and she herself said that her guild has similar rules, and they don't provide help to just anyone. However, the priests of San Fidelio were an exception. The hotels owned by Sergio's family provide the best service, and when they sat down, they didn't book everything in advance. Any of their guests would have to be left with nothing Jackie provided Seki for last month, and Adelina said that they were always open to priests from San Fidelio. As they see, there are quite a lot of them, so they are incurring some losses. However, she cannot throw out the people who carry the word of God, and for this, the bishop was immensely grateful. Adeline just followed the words of Enos, who called for treating guests who arrived from afar as their own family. The main character knew that they all live there for free, and she thought that they really thought about pretending that they didn't know that all these people spent hundreds of nights with them for free. The cheapest room cost 200, 300 coins, and she didn't understand why they should provide housing to priests completely free of charge. What goes around comes around. Father calculated everything several steps ahead, and this helped Adeline quite a lot in the future. Adeline said that she would not stay long, and she plans to leave immediately after speaking with the Archbishop. The bishop didn't even know what to say. He was quite worried, and Adeline noticed that she always looks at his clothes, and it seems to be made from their material and looks wonderful. Mrs. Adeline admitted that there could be no greater honor for a believer to honor her God. And by the way, it seems that the column on which the bishop is leaning was donated by their family 2 years ago. Sculpture, too. And Adeline even remembers how long it took her to choose the color of the stone. The bishop simply stood in a stupor and did not understand how to answer her. The man said that unfortunately the Archbishop was not in place at the moment, so the lady could not meet him even if she entered. Therefore, Adeline can return home, and he will hand over everything to him. Adeline walked with the bishop and said this inscription under the statue was made by the best master in the South. She spoke enthusiastically. She said that in order to be in time for the holiday, they had to melt 100 kilograms of gold in one weekend. All the work of the guild was then paralyzed. However, Adele was very impressed by these words. Only by seeing this with your own eyes can you find the answer. The man told Adeline that there is nothing free in the world, and among the hundreds of priests and knights who will accept these gifts, only about a dozen will become truly influential people. And among them, only 5 times can they consolidate their influence in the South, and only 1 can become famous throughout the empire, not only here. The main character herself noticed that this sounded plausible, but last month when they were in the temple, this man said the same thing. Even a month earlier at Ten's temple, and 3 months ago in the Temple of Medina, it looked like he was spreading his nets all over the place. But the man told Adele that people in business don't chase every penny. This is how the little girl realized the deep meaning of her father's words. The bishop approached the lady and repeated that the Archbishop was not there at the moment. Therefore, Adeline assumed that he meant that there was someone in his place. The bishop admitted that Adeline was very polite, so he will allow her to meet. But the head is not the person the lady imagines him to be, so he asks to keep secret everything that she hears and sees here. The main character said with a smile that he doesn't have to worry about it because strict secrecy is the basic rule in the Uden Guild, and the girl herself thought that they were talking like that as if they were hiding a dragon there. Any merchant should be able to compromise, since he agreed to let her in. They might as well do them a favor and listen. The man was glad that they had discussed everything and decided to talk about the main points of the rules of behavior. Meanwhile, Adeline asked Jackie if she had said that she wanted to ask something from the divine teachings, but this confused the girl, and she did not know what to answer. But Adeline understood that Jackie wanted this because she did not live a righteous life. Jackie grabbed the bishop and they started to walk away because she had a lot of questions. Jackie dragged him along so quickly that the man simply did not have time to answer. Meanwhile, Adeline found a place where she needed to enter. The girl just wanted to knock, but she didn't even touch it when the door somehow opened on its own. But the room was so dark that nothing was visible. Now, the main character understood what the bishop meant. Adeline bowed and greeted the messenger of the god, Enos, guardian of the sun and moon. She introduced herself and said that she was from Sergio's family. It was a great honor for her to meet him. The man ordered to stand up, and Adeline heard a barely audible and such a deep voice it was perfectly suited to this place. And besides, it seems that he is always young. The man said that he heard that the guest had arrived from afar. The lady apologized for not notifying her of her arrival in advance. Adeline noticed that she was very tactless, because San Fidelio usually does not receive visitors. The man in turn noticed that apparently the girl had a significant reason. The main character really hoped that he wouldn't tell her no and kick her out of here. For the first time, the girl met such a strong-willed opponent with the exception of her father, and she was very interested in who he was. Adeline saw him somehow from afar, but that's all she remembers. Due to the fact that most religious events in the empire are held on public holidays, the father visited the main temple of the empire on these days, and Adeline, as an heiress, had to go to the second largest. If she knew that this would happen, she would have gone here. The man said he had heard that Sergio's family was a huge supporter of the temple, but Adeline said that this was not so important, and therefore the man finally decided to ask why she had come. He was very impatient. Adeline decided that giving away her goal from the doorsteps was not a very good idea, so she fell silent, and the man in turn said that most of his visitors want only one thing, and that is power. This surprised the main character very much, and the man directly asked if Adeline wanted to rule the world. The girl denied everything, so the man decided that her visit was for money, but she also denied it. Adeline decided that this was some kind of test of honesty, where she would say that she came for a cool groom, and the bishop would tell her to choose and get out of here, because communication with this man looked like he wanted her to quickly say and leave. It was funny because his voice was too young for a deity. Adeline thanked him for what he offered her, but she is from Sergio's family. The man was surprised that she did not need either power or money, and suggested that then she wanted to gain control of the magic tower. The main character in turn said that she was too busy without it. The man continued to give out his theories, the next one being that she most likely wants to harm someone. But Adeline again denied because she has Caden, and she did not need to go so far with such a request. And besides, when she found out about what happened to Noel after others suffered at her hand, she didn't even want to get involved in all these matters, so she decided that she needed to seem like someone she could trust. Adeline can say that she also does not need eternal youth, a high position, or heaven after death. Therefore, the man asked if she wanted an impeccable appearance, but Adeline said that she thought that everything was perfect anyway. Adeline believed that all this would be useless when they met God, and then suddenly a light appeared. The main character could not open her eyes. A young man stood in front of her and noted that this really makes sense. The girl was shocked and did not expect that this man would look so young. Adeline thought that if her father were with her now, she would take him by the collar and tell her father that he did not tell her that a real God lives in the temple. The man asked what happened to the lady. He thought it might hurt her eyes, but Adele said it was okay. In fact, she cut them, but only because of him. Apparently, Adeline's father did not meet him. The Count knows all the influential people in the South, and it is unlikely that he would just leave someone who can become famous only with the help of his appearance. The main character needed to pull herself together because she was not here to melt at the sight of a handsome man. The main character noticed that the sun shines much brighter here. She saw the coat of arms of San Fidelio, but she did not think that he was a priest. Possibly an assistant to the Archbishop, but he looks not even 30. Adeline did not think that he had a high rank. There must be a sword. So she assumed that this man was a holy knight. The man noticed that his guest had already looked at everything and told her that her name was Adeline. He hoped that it was not too late to introduce himself to him. Despite the fact that the holy knights are incredibly strong and talented, but power in the temple is shared among the priests, most of the responsibilities are distributed between them, and only one person is an exception. The main character was glad to meet the commander of the Knights San Fidelio, but the man said that he had not mentioned this yet, and therefore Adeline said that this was just her guess. The man admitted that he was not dressed as a knight should be, and so Adeline asked if it was difficult for him to get rid of his habits. If it weren't for his face, the main character would have realized this earlier. Everything about his clothes is perfect, except for the loose belt. Even before the main character noticed his rough skin on his index finger, he was easy to spot, given that he knew about her presence in advance. If this is so, then the main character decided that she would apologize, and if necessary, she would be punished. But the man said that it was not worth doing. This? Adeline sighed lightly because everything was as expected. The girl noticed that she had probably already tired him because he had just completed his test after returning from the ice cave of Kelahana. The man was surprised by this and asked if this was also written on his clothes. The main character considered him too naive because, in fact, it was even easier to understand a man like him would not go unnoticed. This year alone, Fidelio held several events in San Francisco, and Adeline had not heard anything about this man. All the unmarried ladies of the southern part of the empire were present, and no one said a word about him, simply because no one saw him. Adeline asked how it could be that she, knowing every pebble in the south, had never met a man who became the commander of the Knights. One can only assume that he was in the ice cave. The man was impressed that the girl knew about Kelahana Cave. This is not a position that can just fall on someone's head, and you don't get it by going through standard training. If you think about the most important and dangerous gorge, the Kelahana Cave immediately comes to mind. This is what explains his absence. In the end, the man asked what his guest wanted to talk about. Adeline said that she cares about what her life depends on. Marriage is what her future depends on, a marriage of convenience to be more precise. And Adeline thinks that there is no need to go into such details because she came here on a recommendation in search of the ideal groom. Adeline did not answer anything, and so the man decided to ask again. But Adeline was thinking about whether there could be someone more suitable than her current interlocutor. Not just a knight, but their commander. Excellent skills and good prospects, and the appearance is simply impossible to describe in words. Jir, of course, is also handsome, but everything is learned by comparison. He can represent the empire as the most handsome man. But the main character decided to calm down first, and the man simply did not understand what was happening to her. Adeline decided to stall for time and said that he had simply not introduced himself in all this time. After a short pause, the man said that he was Girion Setyan. The main character was very pleased to meet him, and she was very glad that she had never heard this name. Smart, but without the support of an influential family, an ideal candidate. And the age was unknown. The main character resorted to cunning and said that it seemed to her that the man was younger than her, but had already achieved a lot. The man was very surprised by all these words, and Adeline said that she was turning 21 this year, and perhaps they were the same age. Considering that the interlocutor looked young, Adeline believed that this was true. But the man said that he was 6 years older than her. Adeline apologized for her words, but in her heart she was very happy because he suited her age. It was just perfect. Adeline began to apologize for her tactlessness and explained that she usually does not make such mistakes, so she would like to apologize to him and his wife. The man said that he was not married. It was just incredible. It already seemed to the main character that God really existed, since the Archbishop was not there today. It seemed to her that she was regaining faith in him. But still, Adeline could not relax, because there was one more inconspicuous point left. Adeline said that since she had already bombarded Girion with questions, then most likely one more would not be a problem for him. Adeline asked if the man liked blondes. These words surprised the man quite a bit. Girion calmly said that he did not know why he had to answer questions of this kind, but if such an honored guest asked him, he would answer that he did not like them. Since blondes either have too angelic a face or don't look like angels at all, the man was accepted by Adeline as a candidate. The man asked if everything was okay with the lady. Adeline was not only fine, but in seventh heaven. She thanked him for sitting in that damn cave all this time. Girion noted that most likely his guest was very tired while getting here, and he thinks that if this is such a serious problem, then Adele would be better off discussing it personally with the Archbishop. The man noticed that the Archbishop would arrive in 2 weeks, and then they could discuss everything. But Adele shouted that then everything would be too late, and these words made the man think. Girion noticed that despite the fact that the lady does not have much time, only the Archbishop can help with what her life depends on. But the main character interrupted him and said that this was not so because he was the one who could help her much better. Adeline assured that no matter who came here, it seemed to her that no one could provide her with more help than him. After thinking a little, the man said that in that case, he had a question for her. Girion came very close to Adeline and asked why she had come. The mistress was just going to tell him everything, she was just not sure where to start, and perhaps all this would confuse him. The main character began to tell that as everyone knows, a person goes through certain stages in his life, but Girion asked to be shorter. After remaining silent for a while, Adeline directly invited him to get married. The man didn't answer, so Adeline decided to ask if everything was okay with him. The man asked again what she offered him. Adeline repeated, which made Girion ask again whether she was offering the person she was seeing for the first time to get married. The main character did not deny this. The man began to look for excuses and say that she did not know him, but this did not bother the main character because he is a man at an age when it would be good to tie the knot, since he is also the commander of the Holy Knights in San Fidelio. Considering that the Archbishop left him as a deputy, this means that Girion is good with a sword and has other outstanding abilities. Girion also does not speak a dialect, and this means that he comes from the capital, but shoelaces are tied this way in Roman. So perhaps he spent some time there, and it became a habit. Adeline also noticed that he does not like to be in public, and is very straightforward. Adeline said with a smile that considering the nonsense she is now talking about, and he is still not angry and listens calmly, then he has a well-developed upbringing. The main character said that if she should know anything else, then everything will become clearer, gradually, because people usually get married without knowing each other at all. Girion said that he did not know why she needed all this, but during all this time, he understood only one thing about her. This is that she is not crazy, but very smart, and she is not in love with him, and will not leave until he listens to her. The guy came to the conclusion that the lady simply needed to keep her place as heiress. Adeline said that this place has always been hers, and it should continue to be so. The lady said that her father thought she would marry her old friend, and lowered her eyes. Girion decided to ask in turn whether she considers this man her man. Adeline said that it's not about her, and it seems that her friend thinks otherwise, and in general this groom and her sister are suitable for each other, so everything is in order. And then the man revealed that his guest's sister was blonde. This surprised Adeline very much, and she didn't even understand who he was and how he knew this, but she said that everything was so. The man, turning away a little, made another assumption that Adeline apparently was not particularly in love with her ex-fiancé. The main character thought that he wanted to laugh at her but restrained himself. The lady began to talk about how she was too busy working in the guild, and this is a world where you can't get enough recognition by doing a job half-heartedly. Girion asked if she was satisfied with such a marriage because it would not be easy for an ordinary girl to make such a decision. Adeline said that if someone wants love, then nothing prevents him from meeting it. It's just a little different. The man thought for a long time and asked why they chose him then, and added a question to the scattering, and it was whether Adeline wanted love. But she doubted it because she couldn't even imagine those cold eyes looking at someone with love. Ghostya said that in exchange she could offer him whatever he wanted if he agreed to portray an ideal couple in front of her father. Then she would give him whatever he wanted. No matter what her guild does, if it exists, then she will be able to provide it. Adeline can make a jewel that you won't find anywhere else sparkle in his hands within a week, but the man said he was not interested in the jewelry. Adeline said that she could put the Trebi sword in his right hand and the Jorn sword in his left hand, along with a detailed strategic plan for King Juhas's victories. Girion noted that if Adelina can offer all this, then he thinks that she will quickly have a queue of people willing to do so, and she can choose anyone. The main character, of course, assumed that he was picky, but not that much. Since he is a knight, he is devoted to his cause to the core. Adeline said that he was probably thinking about going to the palace. And in fact, she believes that Girion is not going to be content with the place of commander of the Knights in San Fidelio all his life. The man didn't understand why she was asking this. Adeline simply said that there was nowhere to turn around. It was cold, and there were no goodies. This is, of course, a huge temple, but it is located on the top of a mountain. Adeline did not meet a person in the south who did not want to get to the capital, and such a pearl should not hide here forever. If it were a bet, Adele would bet her entire fortune. Adele said that she thinks that, of course, Girion's goal as a knight is to get to the palace, and noted that it will not be easy because everyone wants to get there. and the current government does not favor new recruits. This made the man ask what his interlocutor was getting at. The main character said that at the right moments, using the money and honor of the Sergio family in any way she could pave the way for any position for Girion. The man said that he refused. The main character assumed that it would not be easy, but she thought that he would at least think about her proposal. Girion said that he listened to the lady, and that's all he can do. The man's husband ordered her to leave. Adeline tried to ask him to think a little more, but the man again told her no, and added that he did not change his decisions. Adeline understood him, and said that apparently he was not interested in achieving the position the easy way. The man himself confirmed this. The girl turned around and began to leave. She gave in so easily, and this made the man wonder whether he should stop her. He didn't understand what he was waiting for. Suddenly the girl told the gentleman to be careful because from here to there she would pave a golden road. After all, a road of flowers is too banal. In Korea, the road of flowers is called an easy road to a happy future. Adeline asked to let her go because she wanted to talk calmly. Jackie didn't understand what was happening. Adeline asked her if she saw what was happening since she was asking. A few minutes ago, the commander left the room with Adeline and she was captured. The man said that unfortunately he could not pave her a path of flowers, but he could show her where the exit was. The main character was getting really angry. Jackie noticed that the conversation didn't go well, but Adele asked Jackie not to rush to conclusions. The maid couldn't stop asking about what happened. Jackie asked the lady to turn back because there was a deity in a human body. Adele calmly turned and said that it was a man. Apparently Adele also looked like an idiot recently. Adeline was angry and told Jackie that they might not have seen her off because she herself understood very well where the exit was. If they were going to do this from the very beginning, then it was not clear why they decided to act out this scene. The man asked what Adele was talking about, again mentioning gold. Adele didn't want to talk about it. But Adele said she really wondered why he asked if she had come for power or money, and wondered what he would do if she said that was what she wanted. The man said that she would have been at the exit much faster. In any case, Girion's answer would remain the same. If it was so important, then she should wait for the Archbishop. The road back is very dangerous, and therefore they will be accompanied by knights. This was all Girion could do for Sergio's family. The man said that he would accompany her to the exit, but Adele denied Girion didn't know for sure whether Adele would be okay, because there are a lot of monsters in these parts. Adele was grateful for the offer, but if he continued in the same spirit, she might misunderstand. Jackie asked her mistress to wait because she had not yet made a wish, but Adele again said that as she said this is a man, not a god. Adele walked around the corner and sat down. She was very upset about this disgrace. Jackie asked if everything was okay and asked her to take a deep breath. Jackie asked hopefully if her mistress had offered her to that deity, that is, the knight would marry herself. Adele didn't understand what was wrong. Now Jackie understood what she had apparently proposed. But Adeline beat Jackie to the punch and said it wasn't love at first sight. He just happened to fit all the criteria. Those criteria also included external data. But Mrs. Jackie is not one of those who would fall for such a thing. She asked not to be so upset because one could simply imagine that she had confessed to the statue and she had rejected the mistress. Adele said that she had already forgotten, so she thanked Jackie for reminding her. The maid noticed that this was better than Adele spending a lot of time here. Giving up quickly and going home isn't bad either. Adeline was angry because the situation couldn't be worse, and she couldn't go back. You won't know until you try, so once a girl takes the initiative, it's hard to stop her. Jackie asked what the mistress would do if he had a lover. The mistress said that he had no one, and asked if Jackie would let her boyfriend hear. It would be a very big scandal. Jackie began to say something about monsters, but Adeline said that they would not meet monsters. It was impossible. Jackie noticed how her mistress began to move towards the temple, and now she understood that Adeline had come up with something. The Archbishop stood in the commander's room and apologized for not being able to stop her. Girion simply said that she didn't seem like someone who could be stopped, so it was no big deal. Girion finally asked if there were still some reports left. Having heard nothing, the man asked when the Archbishop was returning. The bishop said that this would take about 2 weeks to notice, because the emperor himself had summoned him. Because of this, he is unlikely to be released early. It seems that the emperor's illness is more severe than expected. He was an amazing person. All the knights in the temple do not find a place for themselves because of the visit of Lady Adele. The bishop did not understand how the commander managed to remain so calm. He kicked me out and didn't even blink an eye. The man asked Michael how the situation was in the area. He said that in the morning, the abbess personally inspected the barrier. Nothing suspicious was noticed. Everything is calm. Suddenly, a guy appeared from behind who said that it was obvious and did not understand why the commander was even asking this, because there was no one who would dare to penetrate San Fidelio. The guy added that Bishop Samuel told him that a lady from Sergio's family was here this morning. He wondered if this was true. The man turned and said it was true. The bishop noticed that their family had a very rare eye color, so everyone probably recognized her immediately. The guy was very happy and said that he had heard that they were raspberry in color. The guy wanted to approach the commander because he had a pebble on his arm the same color as the lady's eyes, but then another knight immediately grabbed him and asked him to behave normally. He said that he could have such conversations behind the door, but not in front of the commander. Girion asked them if there was such a conversation that he could not support. The man who was trying to calm down the other knight immediately said that this was not what he meant. And the knight was very happy because the commander says that everything is in order. All the trainee knights seem to have gone crazy. The man came from the northern part of the country, so he is not in the know. But according to those from the south, she is very famous. The men talked about the bishop and the fact that he seemed to be from the south, and therefore asked him if their family was really so influential. Even children knew about them. They had been rich for many generations, but the current leader did the impossible. They say that all the money from the south ends up in the pockets of this family. The knight was simply delighted, but he was immediately reassured. He didn't understand why everyone was doing this to him because everyone was excited now. This lovely girl comes from an incredibly rich family. If you now line up 100 knights and ask them what they think, they will all answer the same without hesitation. They will say that they are giving their hand to be cut off. The knight said that if you connect your life with this girl, then all your wishes will come true. The guy who tried to kick him out didn't understand what was wrong with him. As a result, the guy simply said that he would come out himself. That guy called him a moron and noted that he should stop after the order. For one thing, he asked if all the animals behind the barrier had been destroyed. The knight said that they were destroyed, but no one knows how many of them were divorced again over the winter. The guy was angry because he asked to deal with this because soon more people would come to the temple.